All right, let's talk about Palestine Action in the UK. Because if you haven't heard of this group, you're probably not paying attention to what's going on around you. Palestine Action is an activist group in the United Kingdom that uses nonviolent direct action to, quote, disrupt Israeli occupation, apartheid, and war crimes. Their most notable action was the 2013-2014 disruption of the DSEI Arms fair at Excel London. The group gained notoriety when its members chained themselves to each other and to equipment at the entrance of the fair, preventing it from opening on time. Several members were arrested for their actions. The group has also protested at a number of other events, including an Israeli military recruitment office, various Israeli embassy events, and even the London Stock Exchange. In 2020, they successfully lobbied the government to ban the sale of Israeli spyware to any country. And in 2021, they disrupted an event hosted by the pro-Israel group via an event that was attended by the Israeli ambassador and several members of the British government. This most recent action took place during the funeral of a Hamas terrorist. A terrorist who had murdered Israelis in cold blood. But that's neither here nor there as far as these people are concerned. Now, before I go on, I want to be clear about something. It is entirely appropriate to criticize the actions of the State of Israel. You can oppose Israeli government policy without being an... In fact, many Israelis opposed their own government's policies. What isn't acceptable is conflating criticism of the state with hatred of all Jews everywhere. If you hate all Jews everywhere, then you're If you hate the State of Israel, that is not anti-Semitic. The problem with Palestine Action is that they don't merely criticize the State of Israel. They seek its destruction. Make no mistake about it. When an organization describes itself as a, quote, Palestinian liberation movement, it isn't seeking coexistence. It is seeking a replacement. The land, in their view, is Palestinian, and Jews have no right to be there. On their website, they explain their tactics, which include, and I quote, inter alia, the use of the right to roam, legislation, obstruction of the construction of Israeli military infrastructure, and the targeting of Israeli weapons fairs. Sounds peaceful, doesn't it? It is precisely because groups like Palestine Action exist that Israel has a right to defend itself against those who wish to destroy it. And it is precisely because Israel is a victim of relentless and at times, shall we say, creative attacks from groups like Hamas that it is able to win the support of nations like the United Kingdom. You see, in a world where a tiny state is literally surrounded by an explicit and undeclared war on all sides, it is hardly surprising that it seeks to protect itself. A world in which an Iranian-backed terror group openly seeks to wipe another off the map. Yes, Israel has a right to defend itself. And let's be very clear about this. Nobody should be targeting civilians, whether they live in Gaza or Tel Aviv. But when a military operation is conducted in response to a barrage of rockets fired at civilian centers, it is not the civilians who are to blame, but the leaders who send those rockets that have blood on their hands as well. So why do they call what Israel is doing genocide when Israel is merely defending itself against a surprise attack? Well, first of all, it's important to remember that in international law, genocide does not necessarily mean the deliberate targeting of civilians. It can also refer to acts which are, quote, committed with intent to destroy, in whole or in part, a national, ethnical, racial, or religious group. Now, whether or not what Israel is doing in Gaza fits the legal definition of genocide is a matter for lawyers to argue. But whether it fits the moral definition of genocide is not. The difference between the two is that whereas legal definitions are precise and limited, moral definitions are much broader and include intention. And genocides don't have to be deliberate. If the outcome is the destruction of a group in whole or in part, then it is genocide, whether the intention was there from the beginning or not. Now, I'm not saying that's what's happening in Gaza. What I am saying is that the intention to destroy Hamas and its fellow travelers in Gaza is very clearly there on the part of the Israeli Defense Forces. Whether they succeed is another matter. But to say that Israel's actions in Gaza are somehow disproportionate is frankly ludicrous. If anything, they're to restrain. This is a developing story, and more videos will be uploaded soon.